worlds, anything goes. Devil is a lie, looking for the prize. That's eternal life, and bringing the change in my mind. I'm talking real peace of mind. That's something money can't buy.
What's up, YouTube fam? It's your boy KingMarcell, and I'm back with another video. So today we're about to get an update on all of the stuff that's been going on with Diddy. I know a couple weeks ago I did a video titled The Diddy Files, and man, that's literally has been my highest viewed video. I do plan on bringing you guys a lot of original content that's exposing a lot of this stuff that's going on. That's going to be my pride and joy, you know what I'm saying, other than doing these reactions. But it's taking a while to get this documentary going, but it is coming along, so that will be coming out soon. But again, this is an update on all the new allegations that's going on, and it's looking like the feds are moving forward with their case on Diddy. And a lot of other things have been coming out. So in the next couple of videos, I'm going to be talking about, you know what I'm saying, all of the new evidence. So let's get right into this reaction.
They're dropping rapper Sean Diddy Combs, and he faces 2 more lawsuits after a video of him seemingly showing him brutally attacking his ex-girlfriend surfaced online. We're going to break down this pattern of allegations that accusers are laying out against the once idolized music mogul. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Look like a damn demon.
I can't say I'm that surprised with what I'm about to talk about. 2 more sexual assault lawsuits filed against Sean Diddy Combs, and we're going to get to those. But why do I say I'm not surprised? I say that because CNN published that bombshell video over a week ago. Surveillance footage from 2016 of the Intercontinental.
It's like, how can we be shocked about anything that comes out when this is something that he was willing to do broad daylight at a fucking hotel? Like that, like doing his cameras and shit, but that's how powerful he thought he was. That
showed what appears to be Sean Combs running down a hallway in a towel, chasing down Cassandra Ventura, his girlfriend at the time, throwing her to the ground, kicking her, dragging her by the shirt, and at one point, he even appears to throw a vase in her direction. And in the days that followed, the uproar against the rapper grew even louder, posted a video on Instagram, which some have said feels kind of weak.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life.
Low-key don't like a threat.
Sometimes you got to do that. I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
And again, this is
I take
after
full
he told us
for my
none of
actions.
this shit is true, y'all. Like, come on, bro.
I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now.
Are you now?
I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy.
Then or now?
I'm going to rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
And I said one of the things that could come from this 2016 video, and maybe more importantly, Diddy's seeming confirmation that that was him on tape, this apology video, what could come of it? One of the things that could result is that more accusers will come forward. Do not be surprised if you hear more allegations. It is not surprising when you have a major accusation levied against a celebrity, specifically a tape like this, that more people would follow suit. And I'm not saying that these additional claims aren't legitimate in any way. No, as I'll explain in a minute, there are a number of reasons we don't hear those claims earlier on. But what we do know is sometimes in these situations, people feel emboldened to come forward. Now, the other way of looking at it, and this is what Diddy has put forward, there's narrative put forward like a black vampire, is that this is just everybody piling on, and that everybody is trying to grab a quick buck, and that when one makes an accusation, another one makes an accusation. Okay, now these 2 lawsuits, again, I'm going to get into them in a minute. But they already come on a wave of blowback against the rapper and music producer. Multiple lawsuits have been filed against Combs.
I think it's
Ventura
up to 8 now.
Launched her lawsuit back in November of 2023 against Combs. She ended up settling.
Let alone the case with the feds. That's the thing. It's separate civil lawsuits that he got going on top of the lawsuit that the feds are doing. He's cooked.
Including hers, alleged claims ranging from
cooked,
sexual assault,
anybody who don't think Diddy's cooked, he's cooked.
Sex trafficking, illegal firearms, and narcotics
And that's
possession.
the thing. That's the element. Like, fuck Diddy. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep saying that. Yeah, put this nigga in the jail. Put this nigga under the jail. But I want the niggas who facilitated the shit so the shit don't fucking happen no more. I don't want shit like this to keep happening. So can we please peep out who facilitated him, who helped him do all these things so this shit don't happen anymore? But I feel like with the tunnels and shit that are starting to be found at Diddy crib, yeah, it's tunnels. And y'all finna start finding out a lot of sick shit about these fucking tunnels. A lot of shit that was conspiracy theories, y'all finna find out was fucking true. And a lot of y'all not finna be able to stomach. I've been saying in the last couple of videos like this, and I try not to be a mood killer, but this topic is very sensitive to me because it's like knowing these things and been trying to tell people and people just dismissive. It's crazy, like that is slowly but surely coming out, man.
Shootings, acts of violence, and so forth. Combs denied all the allegations, except it seems now he might be confirming
Look at this
the Ventura
nigga
incident, or at least what
Like,
happened
what
in
the
that video,
fuck?
right? Isn't that what that apology video was? We also remember the federal agents raided Combs' properties in L.A. and Miami a few months back, reportedly pursuant to an ongoing sex trafficking investigation. While no arrests have been made, no charges have been filed, and I want to be clear on that, experts that we have spoken to here on Sidebar say it is possible that could all be on the horizon. Now, aside from the public and public opinion turning on Combs,
My new book, Keyboard Rich, How Anyone Can Earn Six Figures from Home with a Simple Book.
Combs' business empire has been severely damaged. Yeah. America's Best Eyeglasses, they're a recent one. They just cut ties with Combs. Damn. And while they didn't give an exact reason, the company announced it will, quote, no longer carry Sean John. They've pulled the frames from the retail
money
stores
laundering,
and the website.
They don't want to be investigated, or they already were.
The tuition-free charter school co-founded by Combs, Capital Preparatory Harlem, ended its partnership with Combs.
Wow.
Hulu had reportedly been working on a reality show about Combs and his 7 children, but reportedly that was scrapped back in December. Combs also reportedly stepped down as chairman and sold shares of Revolt TV. CNN has reported that fitness powerhouse Peloton has removed Combs' music from its platform. Yeah. And back in April, Billboard reported that airplay of Combs' songs were down significantly overall. City of New York reportedly considering taking back the key to the city that was just given to Combs in September of last year.
Because these
and
are
now,
all,
in just
I hope y'all are looking
week,
at the deeper picture with all of this, that these are all people who were connected with Diddy, who were then at them parties. Like these people at these parties, these high ups at these companies, and they feel compromised. They feel like they're being looked at too much. So don't just look at it as like all these accusations are coming out about Diddy, and now are they just trying to distance themselves? No, they trying to distance themselves because they are damn near implemented in what he's doing. And we just seen all them companies. We need to have a second thought process on if we gonna continue to support people who were working with people like this, and God knows who else. It's like it's a lot of stuff going on, and I know for a fact that most of the darkest shit that's going on is being done in our face through these high companies, these big companies that we wouldn't even dream will be doing some of this shit, but they are literally the main complicit parties involved.
2 more women have
what
come forward claiming that Combs
is going to be a hell of a year. It's been a hell of a year so far.
Lawsuits now. On May 21st, model Crystal McKinney filed her lawsuit against Sean Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings, Sean John Clothing LLC, and Universal Music Entertainment Group. Now, she's suing under the New York City Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act. Very important here, because this is how this lawsuit is able to potentially move forward. Why is it not time barred under the statute of limitations when you're claiming something from, as you'll hear, 2003? Well, An amendment was passed that gives survivors of violent crimes that were motivated by gender that occurred in New York City a 2-year look-back window to sue. So the window is from March 1st, 2023 to March 1st, 2025. Sexual assault would fall into that category of a violent gender-motivated crime. And the statute
they can only go back 2 years for that? That's kind of wild.
Against, quote, a party who
only 2 years?
directs, enables, we'll talk about that, participates in, or conspires in the commission of a crime of violence motivated by gender, has a cause of action against such party in any court of competent jurisdiction. And the idea is this. Look, of course, a plaintiff will still have the burden to prove their case at trial, even though the burden is lower than a criminal case. It's preponderance of the evidence in a civil case, not beyond a reasonable doubt like you have in a criminal case. But it basically says more likely than not this happened. But yes, you still have to put on a case. You still have to prove this happened at trial. You have to convince a jury or a judge. But at the same time, even though there is that burden, you don't want to completely close the opportunity for survivors of sexual assault to receive justice for what happens to them. They should not be punished for coming out when they do, because we have learned over time that sometimes survivors, they don't come forward with their accounts for years. Number of reasons: shame, fear, embarrassment. Maybe they don't even realize they're victims. Yep. It takes a while to even appreciate that and accept that. So we shouldn't penalize that.
Gotta shake it off.
Wanting to seek justice. Now again,
that Roddy dude, because the fact and when you're reading his court case, and I just say it like that, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel bad that these things happen to him, but he doesn't want to admit the fact that, you know what I'm saying, he probably a little sweet because he allowed these things to happen. And yeah, they happen forcefully, but you waiting until all this time to happen, and he trying to make it a strong point that, you know what I'm saying, he's a Christian. He was a Christian beforehand. He was in the church. But then you let Diddy turn you out. Like, grouping a man anus, that mean that man had his hands down your pants, bro. But he doesn't want to say he's a victim. He's not saying he's a victim. He's saying he has proof. And yet he's saying in certain cases that he was sexually assaulted, but he's only saying that he's sexually assaulted by what's her name? I don't know that the girl who was with Diddy, who was in the City Girls, her cousin did something to him. And that's the only assault that he's saying happened to him other than Diddy groping him. But it was one case with circumstance where he said that he woke up in the bed with a couple women and Diddy and another man. It's like, but he trying to say he don't remember what happened. Now, these be people, they don't, like, if you're a man, you don't want to admit, I know you wouldn't want to admit that, man, I was raped by another man. And I get it, like sometimes, like, it takes time. It takes time, you know what I'm saying, for people to come forward with stuff like that. It's all just crazy.
Older claims, tougher to prove. Older cases, tougher to prove, but we'll see. Now, as I mentioned, interestingly, this is the first time Sean John has been named in particular in one of these civil actions, and you'll see why in just a second. The complaint explains.
I am asking for every pro-Trump patriot watching this video to click the link below and chip in today.
Dirty as hell.
Explains that when she was 17 years old back in 1998, McKinney won MTV's first model mission competition. She was given a modeling contract, and her career started to take off with her appearing in all sorts of major magazines. And then in 2003, when she was 22 years old, McKinney says she was invited to attend a men's fashion week event being held in New York. Now, the person who invited McKinney is only referred to in the filing as the designer. But according to McKinney, quote, the designer told plaintiff that he would be introducing her to Combs, which could advance her modeling career. See, that's what's pissing me out, because whoever the designer is, he's linked damn near to some of the higher ups, because the fashion industry is very close to cults. From what I've been learning in my research, that a lot of the clothing lines are demonic and they are tied to cults, literally demonic cults. So whoever this designer is, that's who I want to find out who that is too. You know what I'm saying? Who is that? Like, let's not play this game. Why are we redacting certain people's names? And I know why. But then again, if you say why, you get canceled for saying that. You know what I'm saying? You get they target you because of that. But we know who y'all are.
Now, who specifically this designer is, I don't know, but I can guarantee you his once I find out who he is and who he pertains to, I won't be surprised, and I don't think any of you all should be either. At this
the designer began to direct plaintiff's appearance as he sought to ensure Combs found her attractive. The designer then handpicked a black leather coat with a fur hood, a translucent chiffon, beige V-cut shirt, fur-lined handbag, and jewel-encrusted jeans for plaintiff to wear to the event. Due to the traumatic events to occur later, plaintiff saved the unwashed clothing from that night in her closet, where they remain in a plastic wrap. Wow. So the question, of course, is could that clothing be forensically tested? And you'll see why in a minute, but I think we need Joseph Scott Morgan to talk a little bit more about that one. But going back to the event, so McKinney goes to this event where Combs is having dinner with several people, and the complaint reads, quote, "Once seated, Combs made a very public display of coming on to plaintiff in a sexually suggestive manner. Then he said he had the power to help her career, continued to be very flirtatious. He also allegedly kept plying her with alcohol, and at the end of the night, or the end of the dinner, he allegedly told her he wants to get to know her better." Now, this is something that Combs has been accused of time and time again, using his power, money, influence to make things happen, good or bad, but also as a way to exert control over his alleged victims. So later that night, McKinney says Combs texted her to invite her to his New York studio. She says when she got there, Combs was sitting with several men who were drinking and smoking marijuana. McKinney says she accepted her first hit of marijuana, but now believes it was laced with some other narcotic. McKinney claims that Combs then led her to a bathroom where he allegedly forced her to perform oral sex on him, despite her saying no. Quote, "Upon standing and walking, plaintiff felt more and more woozy and then lost consciousness. Plaintiff awakened in shock to find herself in a taxi cab heading back to the designer's apartment."
Wow.
The lawsuit says that after the alleged assault, McKinney didn't get as much work in modeling or acting. Eventually, she couldn't get any work at all.
Wow.
Upon information and belief, Combs had plaintiff blackballed in the industry and utilized his significant influence to impede plaintiff's career growth. Plaintiff became severely depressed as she began to blame herself for the assault and for sabotaging her own career. The assault led plaintiff into a tailspin of anxiety and depression. In or about 2004, plaintiff attempted suicide and was hospitalized.
That's fucked.
McKinney also states that she was married from 2006 to 2010, but according to her, her relationship fell apart because she had a mental breakdown.
All these niggas need to die so all of these women can live with a purpose, man. For real.
Connected to this traumatic experience. And this all goes, by the way, to the harm element of a lawsuit. What did you suffer? What are you seeking? McKinney's lawyers state in the complaint, quote, "As a direct and proximate result of the aforementioned crime of violence and gender-motivated violence, plaintiff has sustained and will continue to sustain monetary damages, physical injury, pain and suffering, and serious psychological and emotional distress, entitling her to an award of compensatory and punitive damages, injunctive and declaratory relief, attorney's fees and costs, and other remedies, as this court may deem appropriate." By the way, punitive damages are a way to punish the defendant for really extreme conduct. And by the way, when you're adding all this up, this could equate to a lot of money. This could equate to millions of dollars.
Yeah,
but
why wouldn't it?
We're not at that point yet. Hey there, everybody. You know how we talk about Morgan & Morgan all the time? Just an incredible partner of ours here on the show and Law and Crime. Dan Morgan, actually a friend of mine. No big deal. Well, anyway, did you know that Morgan & Morgan, the largest injury law firm in America, is also the official? You sometimes go after companies, they have the deeper pockets. Now, you remember when I said that the New York City gender-motivated violence law can also be used against anyone who enabled or participated in a gender-motivated crime of violence? Well, quote, defendants Bad Boy Records, Sean John Clothing LLC, and Universal Music Group, Inc. enabled or participated in the sexual abuse of plaintiff because defendants failed to, among other things, protect plaintiff from a known danger, have sufficient policies and procedures in place to prevent sexual assault, properly implement policies and procedures to prevent sexual assault, take reasonable measures to ensure that policies to prevent sexual assault are working.
Come on, do you guys think that there are HR departments in these studios? It's not. She went to a studio.
employees on identifying sexual assault and
you would think these things need to be in place, but they're
protect their
not.
employees from sexual assault, and adhere to the applicable standard of care. Now, I imagine Combs' team would say this allegation is isolated, that it is personal, that it is not connected to the businesses, and they should not be on the hook for this. But you can see how they're trying to say that these companies enabled or participated or facilitated this abuse.
Exactly, and that's exactly the point that I was making earlier.
Trial or a judgment against the defendants that would award her, as we mentioned, compensatory and punitive damages plus legal fees. So that was one case, and that again was filed, I believe, on the Tuesday following the release of this 2016 Intercontinental video and Combs' apology. By Friday, our understanding, Combs was hit with yet another lawsuit. And here is a name that you will probably recognize if you have been following us here on Sidebar. Tyrone Blackburn. He is the attorney representing not only this alleged victim in this new lawsuit that I'm about to mention, but he is also representing other alleged victims of Combs, such as music producer Little Rod Jones,
that's what I was talking about.
Grace O'Markey. Both have filed lawsuits against Combs, as well as some family members, music executives, and even award-winning actor Cuba Gooding Jr. Now, the Brooklyn attorney, the reason I mention him, has taken a bit of heat. He's a bit controversial. He's gotten some blowback from fellow attorneys and even a judge. There were allegations that his filings are gratuitous, they are overly salacious, and they are done for improper reasons. So keep that in mind as we talk about this lawsuit, because now Blackburn is representing April Lampros. So in her lawsuit, Lampros says she met Combs in 1994 when she was a student at the Fashion Institute of Technology.
They going
FIT.
back for your ass.
And in fact, the filing includes a photo of Combs with his arms around Lampros and another woman at Bad Boy Recording Studios. And that's actually something we've seen before in these lawsuits filed by Blackburn. A lot of documentary evidence, photos, screenshots from videos. Well, her filing states, quote, when she met Mr. Combs, Miss Lampros shared with him her dreams of working in the fashion industry. And Mr. Combs promised to mentor her and help her by introducing her to music and
hot rooms turn icy cold instantly without AC, while slashing electric bills just by doing this. Tired of hot
the music business or just like getting into the entertainment business at all as signing your life away to the devil. Because the fact that people are putting themselves in these situations or putting their children in these situations to these people, man, knowing the stigma that's behind it and still doing it anyway, man, I feel like you gotta have a little devil in your heart. I used to want to rap. And I start seeing some of the people who I was rapping with doing some wild shit. And I'm looking like, hey, I had to separate myself because that shit is not it. It's not worth your soul. It's not worth whatever you are promised here in this life. I believe in the Most High God, and there's something else after this. And I really hope that you guys like don't get so into your ego where you are able to be manipulated into shit like this.
Executives, as well as assisting her with finding work. Mr. Combs love bombed her. He showered her with gifts and flowers, as evidenced by one of the cards that accompanied the flowers that Mr. Combs sent Miss Lampros for Valentine's Day in 1994. A photo of the card from the New York florist, The Daily Blossom, says, "Happy Valentine's Day, love Puffy." Mr. Combs went so far as to invite Miss Lampros to his first Father's Day celebration, and a picture of that invitation was included in this complaint as well. Again, that kind of documentation helps to establish the backbone of a case, especially since sometimes when you're dealing with older cases, we don't have social media messages or those photos or text message histories. So this kind of establishes the context of what they're talking about. Now, from there, the complaint says that what started out as a love-bombing, flirty relationship quickly went south. This is according to Lampros. Quote, upon information and belief, what Mr. Combs displayed as kind gestures quickly manifested into an aggressive, coercive, and abusive relationship based on sex. These acts were not isolated to the state of New York, as Mr. Combs would fly Miss Lampros to Atlanta to see him, where they would spend time together.
And how old was she?
Lampros would also fly to Miami.
I forgot how old they said she was when this shit was going on.
The filing includes 2 photos of Lampros purportedly at Combs' home in Florida. According to Miss Lampros, Mr. Combs had a terrible temper and often threatened to harm her if she failed to do what he said, if he witnessed her talking to other men, or if she failed to take his phone calls. According to Ms. Lampros, she was also not allowed to talk about her relationship with Mr. Combs to anyone because he didn't want anyone to know he was seeing her because she is a white woman. The lawsuit then goes into
like, what, nigga? Who the
graphic
fuck? You ain't fuck about that, nigga. This time
sexual assaults by Combs. We won't go into the details on those. But
nobody don't fucking fool.
The accusations are very similar to what we've heard from other women. Now, I have to stop and say this. This idea of dangling opportunities and offering things of value in exchange for sex or forced activities, flying these people around to different areas, this is not only consistent with other claims and other lawsuits, but this could also potentially support a sex trafficking criminal case.
Because is that not what this is?
Sued under a sex trafficking statute. As I mentioned, there is an apparent federal investigation happening right now, human trafficking. We don't know who the feds are talking to, who's cooperating, but things like this, these allegations, this could very well be what they are building a case about. This is what you look for in a sex trafficking investigation. Just something to think about. Again, we don't know if the feds are talking to Lampros.
Think deeper than just people trying to get lawsuits. Think deeper than the shit just with Cassie. Deeper than just Diddy. This is a deeper problem that literally over the last couple of years, we've been seeing hints of it. We've been seeing people and whole organizations of it being taken away. But it's so big that literally only a fraction has been done. And it's all of this human trafficking, y'all. I pray that the ones who watch my channel, I pray that y'all start really doing y'all research on these topics. Search adrenochrome. Understand what that, once y'all understand what adrenochrome is, y'all would see that a lot of folklore and things that have been said about the industry and shit go hand in hand. That this shit is really happening, and it's been happening under our noses for damn near eons at this point. And are we about to keep falling victim to this system and what's going on? I think this is the beginning of a change.
But something that came in my mind.
I pray it is, because it needs to change.
In 1995, Lampros says that she met Combs and another woman at a bar. And she says she felt uneasy after just a few sips of her drink and remembers that Combs and this woman guiding her into a car that went to a hotel. The filing states she recalls feeling like the walls were closing in on her. She was laid on the hotel bed where Mr. Combs forced himself on top of her. And then he proceeded to rape her as she pleaded with him to stop. She says she passed out, woke up the next morning, was naked, sore, ran out of the hotel. Horrific, horrific account. The filing continues. Months after the first rape, Mr. Combs pursued Miss Lampros. He sent her gifts, cards, and flowers, and used his power and access to music industry events to lure Miss Lampros back to him. Miss Lampros was a hopeful yet naive college student and took Mr. Combs at his word and believed that the first rape was a possible mulligan and decided to give him a second chance.
The fuck is a mulligan?
Interesting choice.
You feel me? Like, what the fuck?
Chips. Just taking a break. That window's a bear.
Don't worry.
Choice of words for mulligan, but important section nonetheless, because it is important to know why she would allow him back into her life after an alleged sexual assault. While that could potentially, hurt her credibility or claims at a trial, we know from the study of these incidents from past cases, this is not uncommon. It is not uncommon that survivors sometimes do stay in contact with their abusers and even maintain relationships. Yeah. The filing goes on, quote, Mr. Combs was respectful.
And then when you're in that position of power where he can affect people's careers and shit, they didn't want to tell him no. But at what point do you say, this career may be not the career for me because I'm being raped? Like, it was really worth being a model was worth all of this shit. Obviously it wasn't. But I hope people who are doing things like OnlyFans and stuff like that, like, man, y'all are doing something for a high for a time for a how, or however you say the saying. But you gonna ride that wave and you think you up here right now, you know what I'm saying? But then as you get older and as you realize like what you doing, you would never be able to take it back. A lot of these people put themselves in these situations and that don't make it right. It don't facilitate, it doesn't make what Diddy did right, because you aren't supposed to take advantage of people who are asking for help. But at some point, why all of our goals and admirations to be like these so-called superstars? These people are idols. You are worshiping something that's not real. Diddy was working for the fucking feds and then for the cartel and all of that shit. But we looked at him as Diddy dancing. Just next to how many videos Diddy was in? How many other artists are doing shit like this? I.e. Drake. I.e. what's his name? Jay-Z. These things are about to come to light, and it's the fact of, are we still finna like hold these people up here when they literally need to be under jails?
Things seem to be normal between the two until the second incident of sexual assault. The filing goes on to describe an alleged assault that took place near Combs' Manhattan apartment. This was at a parking garage where Lampros says Combs forced her to perform oral sex on him and says a parking attendant saw the whole thing. The filing states, quote, once again, Miss Lampros made the decision to distance herself, and once again, Mr. Combs came back with gifts and empty promises. Lampros claims she tried to stay away from Combs as much as possible, but he was calling her incessantly, threatening to hurt her or anyone who might be with her. He knew where she lived and worked, so Lampros says she felt she had no choice but to do what he said.
Literally,
by the way,
how would she feel like anything else?
Other lawsuits against Combs, too. I mentioned
that nigga knew everything. So from there, had the money to do anything to her.
One night in 1996, Combs ordered Lampros to his Manhattan apartment, where Kim Porter, the mother of 3 of Combs' children who died in 2018. We talked about her in another sidebar. Well, she was there. And Lampros claims that after they all went out, they came back, they began drinking, and Combs allegedly forced both her and Kim Porter to take ecstasy pills, even going so far as to check under their tongues to make sure they had swallowed the pills. Lampros then alleges that Combs ordered her and Porter to have sex while he pleasured himself. And then, not long after that night, Combs, according to Lampros, invited her to Porter's birthday party. Embedded in the complaint is an apparent photo of the invitation with the attire requirement reading, sexy formal. The filing says that Lampros tried to end the relationship with Combs permanently in 1998.
It's just the boldness of it all.
But she claims that Kim Porter was resentful of her because she was forced to have sexual contact with her. And Lampros alleged that Porter called the manager of the bar where Lampros worked and falsely claimed that Lampros tried to poison Kim Porter. And then she alleged that Porter threatened that her boyfriend, Combs, could have the establishment shut down if this manager didn't fire Lampros, to which Lampros claimed later that night the manager told her he had to let her go because Mr. Combs called and demanded that he fire her. Now, the final assault Lampros alleges reportedly happened in 2000.
This shit wild
when
as fuck.
Combs was filming Making the Band. Lampros says they ran into each other near the set, begged to see her. When she said no, he allegedly called her several times over the next few days, eventually convinced her to let him come to her apartment. The filing goes on, according to Miss Lampros, when she opened the door, his security was sitting on the stairwell. Knowing that security was there made Miss Lampros feel a little better about letting him in. They sat on her couch, began talking. According to Miss Lampros, Mr. Combs began apologizing for his past behaviors. He started telling her that he was a changed man. He then showered her with compliments, telling her how good she looked, and kept reminiscing about their prior sex life. He then began dropping hints about them having sex. Miss Lampros rejected his advances. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Mr. Combs violently grabbed her and forced himself onto her. Lampros says she was able to get Combs out of the apartment, but according to her, she couldn't escape her connection to the rapper. According to Miss Lampros, in or about 2023, Miss Lampros was at a function, and a gentleman, with the name redacted, informed the man that Miss Lampros was dating that he should reconsider dating her because he
Hi, everyone. Mark Barton here at Sandy Hook Promise. On December 14th, 2012,
personally saw a video of her and Sean Combs having sex.
Oh, wow.
According
That's
to Miss
revenge
Lampros,
porn.
redacted, shared that he saw the tape during the summer of 1997. According to Miss Lampros, she was told that Mr. Combs apparently recorded them having sex without her knowing
Wow.
and showed it to multiple people. Wow. Now, I'm not surprised because that actually echoes other claims from other lawsuits too.
Exactly. And so all the cameras that they pulled about his house.
Bringing on behalf of his client.
A Blackbird deserves a round of applause. He putting his neck on the motherfucking line to make all this shit come out, Joe, for real. This shit is crazy.
Infliction of emotional distress and violation of the Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law, which we talked about in the other lawsuit. So the Lampros lawsuit also demands a jury trial or punitive and compensatory damages from the court in her favor. Harrowing allegations. Very, very disturbing.
Literally.
But remember, as a point of law, these are just allegations at this point. Just because Mr. Combs is hit with multiple lawsuits,
Diddy did that
the fact that he
shit.
seemingly admitted to beating Ventura on tape, it doesn't necessarily make all the other allegations against him as true. He hasn't been charged with a crime. He hasn't been found liable in a court of law. Now, I do want to end this by talking about Tyrone Blackburn one more time, the attorney representing Ms. Lampros. Look, I don't know Mr. Blackburn. I'm just listening to the accusations levied against him, what that federal judge in New York had to say about him. We dedicated a whole sidebar to this, but his filings have a different flair than the other ones. And I mentioned this in a previous sidebar, how he uses very pointed, descriptive, personal language and attacks. Again,
he not going around the bullshit. He using the motherfucking truth. And anybody saying it's weird and it's crazy, hey, y'all got to deal with that shit. And y'all got to understand it's a lot of corruption out here. So I feel like that shit that went on with him in New York that got his name so discredited and shit right now is all to try to do just that. It's discredit him because he is going after particular people. And Diddy is a small fry. Little do y'all know, Diddy is a motherfucking small fry. And Blackburn look like he got some big fish in his line of sights, bro. And I'm with you every fucking step of the way. For real.
Other lawsuits. I mean, just listen to some of the language from the Lampros lawsuit. Miss Lampros' dreams and everything she's been working hard for were in the palm of his hands. He was blinded by his lustful desire to pleasure himself at Miss Lampros' expense.
Later, that's what it sounds like.
He devoted this mobster persona, and Miss Lampros was in fear of him. Now, there's nothing wrong with this language per se. It's just a bit different kind of language to use, but
no, it's the truth. It's the truth.
Blackburn, that he includes salacious details and writings, the accusations of his motives for filing these lawsuits. Could language like this hurt his credibility?
Yes, and it should.
Nonetheless,
stop seeing him as not the monster that he is. He is a monster, and it's way more monsters than just Diddy.
We will, of course,
there's a lot of people at them Diddy parties who throw their own type of party.
The Sean Diddy Combs saga. That is all we have for you here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us.
This shit is getting crazy, man. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. Do you guys think that this shit is all warrant? Because, of course, it is. You know what I'm saying? We already seen the video that happened with Cassie. And a lot of other things. Again, one of the main things I feel like is getting looked over is that he told that dude Rod that he was gonna eat his face. Kendrick told Drake that he knew more, he had more on him deeper than the fucking pedophile shit. So what else is it? I want you guys to start peeping that and putting that together as this shit come out, and come back and let me know down in the comment section. Tell the buddy, be like, you're right, you was right. But make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe up and hit that notification bell so that you're notified whenever I do drop a video here. But with that being said, KingMarcell out. Peace on the road to 100.
When the pain grows, anything goes. Devil is a lie, looking for the prize. That's eternal life. And breaking the chains in my mind. I'm talking real peace of mind. That's something money can't buy.